I'm going to start with the Jazz. The Jazz are the least watchable team for me. I have no interest in watching a Jazz game because I don't believe the Jazz want to win. I don't think they have any interest in winning right now. I think they want to get a good draft pick. I think they want to accumulate assets. I wouldn't even be surprised if they sold Lauri Markkanen, if they just sold him off for parts. I know they just did an extension with him, but I could see them being like, you know what, screw it, we're going to go and we're going to try to get even more assets, which I'm not a huge believer in, is the let's accumulate tons of assets and that's really going to work out for us. Case in point, Oklahoma City, I think we should have seen more from them last year, if I'm being honest. I would have liked to see them obviously Chet Holmgren was out, but I would have liked to see them at least make the playoffs. I think that would have been good because they've been ass for a long time. And we've only seen Shai Gilgeous-Alexander play twice in the playoffs, which for a long time I thought he hadn't played in the playoffs. But he played in the playoffs once as a Clipper and then once with the Oklahoma City Thunder when he was playing with Chris Paul. A lot of you probably have forgot about that season, but he played one season in Oklahoma City with Chris Paul. So I think the Jazz are just kind of not good. They're not a good team, and they don't want to be good, and that is the most important part. I don't know what they want to be. So watching a Jazz game, I don't really know what the stakes are because it doesn't seem like they want to be good. So the next team is the Blazers. The Blazers are kind of a dumpster fire because they got DeAndre Ayton and he called himself dominating, which you can't sing your own praises. You can't boast. You got to let other people give you that nickname. You can't give yourself a nickname. He seems like a sweet guy, so it's more of secondhand embarrassment from him. I don't want to disparage the guy. I don't want to be mean, but you can't, DeAndre Ayton, you can't give yourself a cool nickname. You got to let people give it to you. So, and Scoot Henderson, who I really liked, is not having great season, now has an ankle injury. I just don't know what you kind of want to watch a team like this be good and try and really impress you. And so far they haven't, and I think you need a good start to the season to really make people care about your team. And they haven't really done that, and it feels kind of like they've given up already. I could be wrong, but that's how I feel about them. Next, we got the Wizards. The reason the Wizards aren't at the very bottom, I do believe they're going to be the worst team in the league. I just watched a video of Jordan Poole checking out during a timeout, not paying attention during the play, and you can literally see him mouth the words, I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing. This is my team, which is oh my gosh. And Wes Unseld Jr. is showing the play. He's showing what they're going to run. And then you see him, he ends the timeout and you see him looking at the playbook trying to figure it out because he knows he's going to be embarrassed because he's not going to know the play because he was totally checked out during the timeout. So I'm watching that team. They're interesting because they are going to be, again, just an embarrassment. I think I could be wrong, but I'm going to enjoy that. They really don't have... I never really was a Jordan Poole guy. I don't know. But he seems like a guy, obviously him and Draymond clearly had really bad blood. That's really obvious because now Draymond is taking sneak disses constantly at Jordan Poole. There was a problem there. And I got a feeling both of them had something to do with that. Because that's the thing. If you get two pricks together, it's going to be a problem. Because usually there's someone out there wishing somebody would, right? When two people out there wish somebody would and those people meet, somebody does. And it's a problem. So it's pretty interesting for me. So this is going to be pretty bad. I don't know how this is all going to work out for Poole and Kuz and all those guys, but I'll check in. They're still garbage ass, trash ass category for me, but. And the Hornets, Brandon Miller hurt his ankle. Honestly, I don't trust him yet. He doesn't have much of a personality, let's be honest. He doesn't have a Scoot personality. He doesn't have a Wemby personality. I don't know. I do not know this guy. He's kind of quiet. Obviously, there is the ongoing, I believe, civil case that he's being sued for. There's just a lot of stuff I don't know about him, and he seems like a mystery to me. So I don't know about this guy. He seems like a risky bet. That whole situation is just really sad and tragic. So when I think about the team, I think about Miles Bridges. I think about the Brandon Miller situation, and I just kind of want to think about another team. A different team. But again, they could be good. They're not playing terribly, and I like LaMelo, I like Terry Rozier, and I like some guys on the team. I don't even remember the guy Gordon Hayward. He's fine. Yeah, he's all right. Next we got the Pistons. I like the Pistons. They're fine. I love Beef Stew. Beef Stew is the favorite of someone that likes the Bad Boys Pistons. Beef Stew is the guy because he's like a rough tumble, good defensive player, will get pretty good field goal percentage, but he plays the game the way a center was supposed to play the game back in the 80s and 90s. People really seem to enjoy that. And then we're going to see what Cade Cunningham can do. Because I will tell you, a lot of people really believe in Cade Cunningham. They think he's the best player in that draft, even though there have been a lot of players that have really proven themselves in this draft. They still say he is the most complete player. And he's the best. Even though we really haven't got much of a good sample size from him, people have really high expectations for this guy, and I want to see him deliver. I don't want him to get injured. I don't know. I'm done complaining about people getting injured and saying that they should prepare their bodies more. I don't know, because it just seems like unfortunate stuff, but I just wish people would get injured less. James Wiseman and the Marvin Bagley drama between the backup centers is pretty great. 2 second-round picks battling for playing time is kind of interesting. I forget who was talking. I might have been Joe House or someone was talking about that battle, and that was what he was most interested on the Pistons, which is pretty fair. And you always want to see a bad team be good. So then we got the Spurs. It is. I need a drink. The Spurs, I went and saw the Clippers play the Spurs, and they got blown out by the Clippers, so I kind of gave up on the Spurs. I got to see Wemby play, and relatively inconsistent, but he's obviously very good. I think I got kind of soured on this team because they can be really good. They can beat a really good team. They can beat the Suns twice and then get blown out by a pretty abysmal team. Again, another team that doesn't seem like they really want to make the playoffs at this point. They're not in it. They're not in it to win it. That's the truth. They're just not in it to win it. And that makes for bad viewing experiences. Even though a lot of these guys want to play hard, I don't really think that they're interested in making the playoffs. I don't think that's part of their long-term plan. So even though they have this major star with Wembanyama, I just don't want to. I've seen it at this point. Develop, get good, be good at basketball, figure it out. Awesome. I'll check in then. I'll check in when you're good. The Rockets, I think they're a flash in the pan. They have a pretty good record. They would be higher, but I do think they're a flash in the pan, and I don't really believe in them. I love to see Dillon Brooks be good, because even though he too is a prick, he cares. And you can be a prick as long as you care. I don't care. I don't care if you're an antagonist, if you're a cheap shot guy. I don't like it, but if you do care and you play for your team and you want to win, I can tolerate you. That's fine. So I want to see Dillon Brooks succeed to some degree. I like Fred VanVleet. I want to see Jalen Green kind of mature and be a better player. And Alperen Sengun, I don't know. I don't really know what else to say. Yeah, I want him to be good. They're a shitty team. You want to watch a shitty team be good, right? You want to watch an underdog win. So the Rockets are there. I'll check in. But they'd be higher if I actually believed in them, and I don't believe in them. Then we got the Bulls, another team. It's like, yeah, they could be good, so I'm going to stick around. And they do want to be good. They have every incentive to be good. I don't know if they have their draft pick this year, but they're not going to tank. They have Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan and Alex Caruso, and these are guys that are on like pretty decent contracts, and they're in a position where they want to be good. They are not in a position to tank, and it would be sad if at the trade deadline we see them give up all these guys, because it's going to be a rough couple years for the Bulls. So I want to see them pull it together, but at the same time, I believe they're playing the Bucks right now. I can't see what the score, or they got beat by the Bucks, I would assume. So I just don't believe in them, but they're in a position where they're going to want to try, which is good for a garbage ass, trash ass. I'm still like, most of their games I'm still putting in garbage ass, trash ass because they're not good. Then the Nets, I was more hyped on the Nets last year because they were riding the success of KD and Kyrie. When those guys were on their team, they were riding those wins that they had gotten with that squad. And they just kind of rode it into the playoffs with the 6th seed, got smashed in by the Sixers. I wanted to see it work out for Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson because they seem like really good guys. I heard Cam Johnson on Theo Pinson's podcast, and I liked his story. He seems like a fun guy to hang out with. He seems like he loves the game, and he hasn't been jaded. Don't like jaded players. So there's a lot of fun young guys, and then Ben Simmons, a guy I don't really necessarily want to see succeed. Even if I think about it, I don't even really want to see him redeem himself, which is probably something wrong with me. But I don't know. Yeah, so that's the Nets. I'll check in. They're still garbage ass, trash ass, because if you think about it, there's just so many games. Every night, there's usually going to be a better game going on than the game that has the Nets in it. Then we got the Grizzlies. The Grizzlies are good. They're missing Ja. They're obviously missing Steven Adams, and they're off to a pretty bad start, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything. They can pull together. I do believe in them. I am a little bit tired of this team, though. I'm a little bit tired of the way that they're made up at this point. There's really not going to be any acquisitions made to get a different person on this team. Obviously, they got Marcus Smart and Derrick Rose, but who cares? I don't care. I mean, yeah, I don't think that's really going to change anything for the team, even when they do get Ja back. And Steven Adams is out, so at this point, I just think this team is going to be a team that burns out in the playoffs. And that's it. They're going to lose in the second round if they make the playoffs, maybe the first round. This just isn't their year. So I don't really care. Again, probably garbage ass, trash ass. Then we got the Knicks. I like the Knicks. Again, a team that is just solid enough. They just lost to the Celtics. They're just solid enough to get to that 4-5. And this is the way it was in the early 2000s. It was the Celtics and the Knicks who were just kind of always meeting as the 4 or 5 seed in the playoffs in the East. One of them would win, one of them would lose. I don't even remember who won and who lost more. But they just kind of be out. They would just kind of somehow fizzle out. And it seems that way now. It doesn't really. The Knicks are like the biggest market, and they're the highest evaluated team in terms of as a business. They're like worth $8 billion. But I don't hear anyone talk about the Knicks. They put them on, nationally broadcast TV all the time, and I don't really understand why. They're not. Nobody cares. I'm going to be honest. I don't think anyone really cares about the Knicks. No one really cares about Julius Randle. Jalen Brunson was hot for a minute. He is good, but I don't think there are I doubt they sell a lot of jerseys. Actually, I've done a video on this. I know they don't sell a lot of jerseys. So as much as I like the Knicks, I like the players. I like Tibbs. I like Randle. I think he's underrated. But, I mean, what do I know, though? He makes all NBA teams, and no one talks about him. That's for sure. So maybe that means something. Maybe it doesn't, but it is true. No one talks about the guy, and he makes all NBA teams, so he's like the third best power forward in the league. Hey, they're a good team, but I just don't see them having real aspirations. The Raptors. I guess I care about the Raptors a little more than the Knicks, which is surprising. Because I think they're trying, like they're really putting it together. I think that's really what it is everyone is saying that they should tank. They're saying, oh, trade away OG, trade away Pascal Siakam, he's cooked, build around Scotty Barnes. Everyone is saying this, but they're like, no, let's try it out. Let's try to get good, which is what they did last year. Obviously flamed out, didn't make the playoffs, right? No, they didn't, because the Hawks and the Miami Heat were the playing teams that made it. So they didn't get in, but they keep trying, which I respect. They just refuse to blow it up, which is fine, but they're really trying. I like Dennis Schroeder too. I'd like to see him have a breakout season after his MVP of not the Olympics, whatever the hell it was, FIFA World Cup. The Heat, again, I didn't care about the Heat last year. I wanted to see the Heat break up last year. I wanted to see a new roster on that team because I was just kind of sick of them because they weren't mid-tier. They weren't the Knicks. They were better than the Knicks, but it was just like not good enough to really. I never felt like they were good enough to make the finals. But again, they made the finals in 2020, in 2023. But I had no hope for them. So as much as I like the Heat and I'm really impressed by what they do, at the end of the day, I'm just like, I don't see Jimmy Butler holding up a finals MVP, which sucks because I really like Jimmy Butler, and I think he has a really strong work ethic, and I like him as a guy, and I do believe in him. I guess I don't really believe in him. I guess I like him, but I have no faith that that squad can get it done. There's no way they're going to beat the Nuggets. Just weren't. So, whatever. They're good, and they're doing well now. It's one of those teams where, as good as they could be, they could just win out for the rest of the season. I don't see them winning the championship. Next are the Pacers. I'm from Indiana, so I kind of like them. They're obviously a team that cannot sign free agents, let me tell you, because I've lived close to Indianapolis. I've had friends that lived in Indianapolis, and it's a very new town. It's just not a cool spot. That's the thing about it. It's fine, but it's just not a cool place to live, and it gets very cold, so no free agents want to go there. It's in the middle of a it's in the middle. It's in between cornfields, you know? It's a city, but it's in between cornfields. That's the truth. So people don't really want to go there. Really what you have to do is you have to draft a guy that falls in love with the place or trade for a guy and then just celebrate the shit out of him. You just got to love him to death and say, hey, don't ever leave us. We need you. Tyrese Halliburton, you're our favorite. Obviously, like Miles Turner, he's very handsome. He's a very handsome guy. He's nice to look at, and he's a dork. I've seen him show off his Millennium Falcon, like Legos. I'm like, damn, dude, how's a handsome, athletic guy like you? There's something about that. A guy that's so dedicated to something that he's interested in, even though he has all the tools to get lost in the, just get lost in the typical NBA trap of chasing video hoes. But I like the Pacers, and I think they're good. Halliburton's good. Oh, also Bruce Brown. Pacers made a very good acquisition in Bruce Brown. They gave him a really awesome deal. They offered him basically 2 or 3 times more money than Denver could have offered him or did offer him for 1 year. And then they had a team option. This is brilliant because it's like, all right, nobody signs here. We have cap space. Give this guy a ton of money. We'll give him a ton of money, and then we'll have a team option the next year. So Bruce Brown says, I don't even care. I'm not even going to sign a 3-year deal with any other team, because I can make more money in 1 year than I can make in those 3 years. It works for both teams. And if he's not good, that's it. You had 1 expensive year of Bruce Brown, you can move on. Or you can re-sign him for less money. It's a really good idea. So I like it as a business. First and foremost, I'm a businessman. I think that's a really good business move. And I think it's fair for the player and incentivizes him to play well. Love it. Cavaliers. No one says the Cavaliers anymore. They just say the Cavs. We got, this is a fun, I like Donovan Mitchell. I always liked him. On my main channel, I've talked about this. I liked him in High Flying Bird. I thought he was great. I love the things he said. But he seems like a great dude. Of course, Jarrett Allen, another dork who I love. Darius Garland is sick. He is fun to watch. We're obviously rooting for Evan Mobley to develop, be a Defensive Player of the Year. Again, sweet guys. Everyone on this team seems like a bunch of sweetie patites, and they're fun. Donovan Mitchell is sick, and Darius Garland are really the guys that are going to show you how it's done. And then Karis LeVert's, he's one of those NBA sickos, delights, those people that really enjoy the NBA love Karis LeVert. He's one of kind of a cult following, not one of the main ones, not like a Caruso, but people like him. In the Mavs, I didn't believe in the Mavs, but dang, are they good. Can Luka just get it done? And Kyrie is behaving himself. I have a feeling in his contract that he signed with the Mavs, there was a lot. I mean, there's no way this is true, but I got a feeling there might. I wouldn't be surprised if there was some sort of fine print where he's not allowed to talk about anything geopolitical on any sort of social media, or he loses a lot of money. It could be. It would be weird to put in a contract, and he honestly seems like a type of guy that wouldn't sign that unless there was really no one else biting at signing him this offseason. I don't know, but good for the Mavs. I do find them fun to watch. And I forgot, I'm just like talking about each team, but I'm tuning in. Yeah, I'm tuning in to watch the Mavs play. They're an exciting team. Timberwolves, apparently good. I love that I'm tuning in because Anthony Edwards and Kat are kind of battling out to see whose team it is. And it seems like, everyone thinks it's Anthony Edwards' team, but Karl Anthony Towns really thinks highly of himself, and I think it would take a lot for him to accept the fact that he is not the number 1 option on this team, and going forward, the pieces that they do acquire are going to be based around him and not Karl Anthony Towns. There's no way anyone is going to trade for Karl Anthony Towns because he's on a super duper max contract and he's very expensive. So that's the thing when you sign these guys to these super duper maxes, is they're hard to trade. I think Portland got lucky being able to trade away Dame. As good as Dame is, at some point, a guy can be good, but at some point, he becomes not worth the money, okay? That's the truth. That's just the way it is. So you may say, oh, we do everything we can to keep this guy, when maybe you shouldn't have done everything you can. Maybe you should have done as much as you should have done. So, Pelicans, fun to watch because of Zion. There are huge expectations of this guy. He could be the bust of the century. He could be the biggest bust of all time. And then the Brandon Ingram of it, the CJ McCollum being out, they need to be good. This is Zion, and Zion's got to put the team on his back. He seems like he's lost a little bit of pep in his step. I've heard he's been pretty bummed out after a couple of the losses this year, but they've got to be good, and we need to see a lot from Zion Williamson. It's his year. They were an exciting team. We need it. I know I'm blasting through this because the camera's gonna... Kings. Lighting the beam is always fun, especially their home games. That's why they're exciting to watch, because in their home games, they light the beam. So you know when you're watching, oh, they're at Golden One Center. If they win this, they're lighting the beam. They're going to show it after, and that's exciting. It's a brilliant marketing move. I don't know how, like, did they build the stadium with that beam on it? I don't know. It seems like they just started this year, but it's pretty sick. Does it get in the way of, air traffic controllers? Does it fuck them up? I don't know. Don't care. Either way, it's awesome to watch the beam light up. So that's why I like the Kings. For no other reason. I mean, it seems like good guys. De'Aaron Fox played through a hand injury, which seems like a very rare thing to do these days, is to play through injury. So I respect that. The Hawks, Trae Young is awesome. He's one of the best basketball players in the league, and he's not great on defense, but he is a body. He has an athletic body on defense. But if you watch this man play, I think if you got people who weren't basketball fans in a room to watch this guy play and watch a bunch of games from a bunch of different teams, I have a feeling they would say the best player is Trae Young. Just from like the eye test, if you're the untrained eye, if you're watching a guy who is the most impressive player on a team and you're watching a bunch of games, I think it's going to be Trae Young, because I think he has the best highlight reel of any player. Better than Giannis, because I think seeing one dunk, seeing them all a little bit, but that's my feeling. So that's why I like the Hawks. That's why they're fun to watch, and they're good. The Magic, Markelle Fultz, obviously, you want to watch a guy kind of come back from injury and be good, right? You want to watch a comeback story. Again, seems like a sweet guy. You want to watch sweet guys that play for their team succeed, right? So, Paolo Banchero, another sweet guy, got confused for, what was his name? The quarterback everyone loves. Wow, it's embarrassing. Quarterback for the Chiefs. Y'all know who I'm talking about. He got confused for him, and Pat Mahomes. They were like, some guy came over to interview him. He's like, "Oh, Patrick, what do you?" And he's just like, "Oh, no, I'm a different guy," which I love. I love that. You're the number one pick, and you don't correct him and say, "Don't you know who I am?" You say, "Oh, I'm a different guy. I'm just someone else. You've mistaken me for someone else. Doesn't really matter who I am because I'm not the person you think you're talking to." It's pretty funny. So I like him. Jalen Suggs. I don't watch a lot of their games. But from what I hear, I mean, I do watch their games. But I will tell you, I don't watch enough games to really say that Jalen Suggs tries really hard. But I listen to enough basketball podcasts to know enough people say that Jalen Suggs cares the most about winning, which is cool. So I like them. Cole Anthony's very funny. They're a young team full of guys who are pretty humble. I like the Magic. I want them to be good. The Suns, high stakes, and they're not good. I don't like anyone on the Suns. I'm going to be honest. I'm not a big Nurkic fan. I'm not a big Durant fan. Devin Booker, hit or miss. Usually, he's fun to watch. He talks a lot of crap, let's be honest. So it's fun to watch a guy that talks a lot of crap lose, And I think we need players that talk a lot of crap. I think they're very important. I also like the Beal trade. I think Matt Ishbia, the new owner, was like, what's a cool thing we can do? I don't watch a lot of basketball. What's a cool thing we can do? Who's good? And someone said, oh, Bradley Beal's good. Maybe he's available. Washington doesn't seem really great. So he's like, yeah, let's get him. He's really expensive. Yeah, let's get him anyway. That'll be a hot ad. And then they added him, and, maybe Bradley Beal wasn't what they needed. Maybe Bradley Beal isn't what anyone would need it for that price. Again, these Supermax contracts where they sign guys just to keep them. Then you have this sort of albatross around your neck. I would be the GM that signs a lot of guys that are, overpaid role players. That would be me. They'd be like, why is this Bertov signing all these overpaid role players? I'd be like, yeah, well, because they got something to prove when they make this money. They're like, I'm overpaid. Everyone's motherfucking my contract. I got to show them what's up. I got to show them how I do it. That's why I would pick those guys. I would Bruce Brown it. I would be like the Pacers, really. That's how I'd run a team. I think they do a good job. Then we got the Thunder. Obviously, the Thunder are very exciting because Shea is great. Again, handsome. I like handsome guys. That are fine being in towns, they're fine being in non-sexy towns. Sexy guys that are fine being in non-sexy towns and are content with that. I like Lou Dort. Seems like a 3-and-D guy. A guy that's like, I'll stand in the corner and shoot threes and then play defense harder than anyone else out on the court. I'm fine with that. Pay me. He got paid. Pay me my money. I'll do that. I will fulfill my role. And I'll shut up. I'll shut up about it. Love it. Josh Giddey, so much energy when he plays. I think it's funny his name's Giddey, because that's kind of his hair and everything about him, even his play style. He looks boyish, and he gets offensive rebounds. Like it's perfect. And Chet is ready. Chet, you could tell he was champing at the bit to get in last year, and now he's here and he's ready to. He seems grateful for the opportunity to show people what he can do. Love it. It's great. Thunder are awesome. I tune in for Thunder games. Not garbage ass, trash ass at all. Usually these are on the. I never even finished what my grades were for. Okay, so there's garbage ass, trash ass, which is the worst. There's mid, which is like, okay, whatever, maybe I'll throw it on while I'm folding laundry, which is like a team that's, your Knicks versus Rockets. That's bordering garbage ass, trash ass, but like your Heat versus Sacramento, mid. And then there's like, oh, I'll turn that on. Then there's one where you're like, well, that'll be good, which would be, let's say, Celtics versus Bucks. I know that seems like a crazy good game, but for me, I'm like, yeah, I'll throw that on. Yeah, Celtics versus Bucks. Yeah, I'm going to watch that. I'll have that on. And I'm going to watch. Like, I'm going to actively watch the game. And then there's, like, top tier. Then you have your top tier, which is like, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to watch that. And that, Lakers, Denver, it has to be a Lakers game or a Denver game for me. Those are kind of spoiled, but that's it. That's 4 grades. You have your garbage ass, trash ass, mid, tune in, sit down. That's it. So Thunder are in a lot of tune in games. Then we have the Celtics. The Celtics are great. They have Drew Holiday, so I'm rooting for them. I didn't like the Dame trade. I thought that was a big, flashy, sexy move, and I like a nice, consistent, let's win some basketball games moves, which is the acquisition of Drew Holiday as their starting point guard. Perfect. And Drew is the best person as a human being, the most benevolent person in the NBA, so you want to see him succeed. So not only do they have a very likable guy on their team, they're also good. And they were steamrolling. They're not anymore, unfortunately. But still, they're in a couple sit-downs. The Sixers. This is because of the drama around James Harden. And Tyrese Maxey is killing it. And Tyrese Maxey was recently on JJ Redick's podcast. And he is a good kid that is very grateful for every day he's alive and every day he gets to be a professional basketball player. And a lot of times we take our lives for granted, right? We're just like, I don't have everything I wanted. I have all this stuff, but I should have a little bit more. That's not how Tyrese Maxey feels. He's just grateful for the opportunity, so he's fun to watch succeed. Toby's great. I love Tobias Harris. Everyone makes fun of his contract, but he's a good player, and dang, does he play basketball games. He plays. He's out there. He's doing it. And you may not like whatever. He may break a couple shots. Maybe he's kind of absent at the end of games, but man, he's out there. He shows up. So I like watching the Sixers. Also, their regional broadcast is awesome. They're such homers. The regional broadcasters, the color commentators, total homers, and they don't even make any sort of effort to cover it up. And they're awesome. I think they actually have the best local broadcast. Then we got the Warriors. I'm actually surprised I put them this high. I'm rooting against the Warriors. I'm just kind of sick of Draymond. I've never liked Draymond. I'm not trying to be mean or anything, but he's just not for me. He is not for me. I don't like him cheering when he gets kicked out of games and trying to start a ruckus and draw attention to himself. Honestly, I just think he's a bit immature. Maybe I'm immature for calling him immature. He's just not. I like Clay, but I just kind of had enough of these guys. CP3, irritating. But you got to, again, a lot of pricks on this team, but they want to win. So they're fun to watch because they're pricks. I don't want them to win, but they do care and they do want to win. So it's a watchable game. I'm watching a lot of Warriors games. I love Steph too. Then the Bucks, because of Lillard. Because I talk so much about Lillard's being traded there, and I even said, hey, did the what did I say? Well, I said, did you trade away the best defensive player in the league for a good offensive player? And how is that gonna, how is that gonna affect you? You also traded him, gave up other assets to acquire this guy, and it leaves you on a deficit on defense. While it may have made up for something on offense, you won a championship with Drew Holiday, so don't forget that. And Giannis broke his ass bone during last year's playoffs, so maybe that was the reason they got beat by the Heat. Maybe, I don't know. But it was a big move. It was great for the league, just moving things around. Lillard needed to be on a contender, and he wasn't. So I'm a fan of the trade. Somebody needed to put that man on a team that was trying to go for it, because that's watching Damian Lillard try to win a championship is a reason we watch basketball, isn't it? The Clippers, the Clippers they're ideologically the most reprehensible team in the league. I think the most accurate way to put it is they are starfuckers. They don't watch a lot of basketball, but they know a lot of names, and they see a lot of people wearing jerseys, and they're great marketers. But as assemblers of a basketball team, not exceptional. So if you're a real basketball purist, you're kind of rooting for this team to lose. Because if they are successful, it means really all you need to do is smash a bunch of good players together, 4 good players together, or whatever, big names together, and you're going to win championships. And then have no role players, no bench, no depth, and you'll be fine. Which can't be true, right? Can't be true. But maybe it is. Hope they lose. So that's why you want to watch the Clippers lose. You want to watch these egomaniacs. I'm not trying to be negative, but I really think they've kind of lost their love of the game in their own brand. So they're fun to watch lose. Let's keep moving. Nuggets. I love Jokic. I love Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. I like Jamal Murray. I like Christian Brown. I love Aaron Gordon. I love them because they all love each other and they love playing together. The vibe is great on that team. They all want to win for each other. Also, DJ is still on the team. I have a feeling DJ has to be... I saw him on the Knuckleheads podcast. He seemed like a cool guy. Of course, I think the Knuckleheads, they bring out the coolness of every player that they have on that show. Those guys are awesome. So they like each other. And I think Jokic is the biggest part of that, because I think when you're on a team with him, it kind of forces you to be humble because he's so good and he has so many accolades that you can't really be arrogant. And then also his own humility puts you in this position where he would be the guy that would have the big head and the demand to be treated differently. But he has that Tim Duncan attitude where he doesn't feel that way. He just wants to be a cog in the machine in terms of, not looking at the size of his own cog, if you will. Just like, whatever we got to do to win. And that's the type of stuff I like to watch. So I always root for the Nuggets. They're probably the team I root for the most. I'm most supportive of. But it's close between the Lakers because I love the Lakers and I love LeBron James and I want to see if he can outdo Michael Jordan. I haven't given up. I thought I gave up last season. I was like, there's no way. This team is too bad. And then they traded away Russ and they got good. Let's be honest, man. They traded away Russ and they got good. That's the truth. It's crazy. They got rid of him. Sure, they got rid of Pat Bev and they got rid of Thomas Bryant. But, dude, when you have someone that is not on the same page as everyone else in that locker room, you're gonna fail. If there's someone in your organization, wherever you work, and they are just on a different page and they see things differently and they're stubborn and they want it to be that way, your organization is gonna fail as long as they're there.
I believe that. You may stumble on a little bit of success here and there, but if there's someone who isn't willing to cooperate, you're going to be bad. But they pulled it together, and now I'm like, oh, maybe LeBron, maybe it's not over for LeBron. He's playing well, you know. He's going to get to that 65 game mark so he can get an All-NBA because he wants to keep that train rolling. You know, LeBron loves trophies. He's got to have trophies. And, hey, know who you are. Know what you want in life. So he's going for that All-NBA, and he's going for that championship. He's still, you know, I'm sure he's happy with his work and what he's done, but he's trying to get another couple championships, you know? He wants to put the debate to rest. I don't think he'll do it, but it's fun to watch. So that is why the Lakers are the most watchable team for me. I want to be a Clippers fan because I go to more Clippers games because they're cheap, but the truth is, it's just like, more emotionally invested in the Lakers. Why am I emotionally invested in people I don't know? I don't know. Why do we? It's my escape. So that's it. Those are the most marketable teams. Thanks for being here. Be good to your mother, Zeta Corn Dog.